everyone, I'm Shivangi Mukherjee. Welcome back to my channel. If you're an old viewer, I'm glad you decided to visit me again. If you're a new viewer, I make content on self-love, mindsets and personal growth. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about feelings of inadequacy. I struggle with self-worth issues from time to time, and I'm sure if you're anything like me, then I hope you are going to find this video helpful because I'm going to be discussing certain things that you can look at to address feelings of inadequacy better. If no one has told you this already, then I'm here to say this to you. Your job that you do does not define you. You are worth more than the work that you do. And if anyone leads you to believe otherwise, if anyone tells you that you need to be working 24/7, 365, not getting enough rest, not getting enough sleep, not eating enough, then they're not the right kind of people or the surrounding that you should be around. I'm aware that not a lot of us have the privilege to avoid company that glorify overwork, given that a lot of you might be working with such people in your offices, or you might be in a position where you're having to take on work to make ends meet. Given that that is the case, I would say that if someone asks you to work without incentives, for instance, a common example is they tell you that there's a promotion that's going to happen, and then they tell you that you're being considered. So you're expected to do this, this, and this. But the trap in that is nobody tells you that if you do this, this, and this, you are going to get promoted. There's no guarantee there. So if you're in a position, if you feel financially cushioned enough to not have to set foot into that trap, and if you have an option to say no to such people, to such surroundings, to such circumstances, then do say a no. Because when you keep working and working and working till you break your back, you make the mistake of defining yourself through the work that you do. And so if God forbid that work is someday taken away from you, you might be struggling with understanding your worth, because now that the work has gone away, you might be thinking, oh, then what am I worth? But that should not be happening. There was an entire you before you started working. Remember when you were little, when you went to school, when you were working at university, probably you were not full-fledged working then, maybe you were doing part-time gigs. When you believe that there's no you without work, you end up disrespecting that younger you, who existed before this work you existed. You might not even realize that you're letting your work define you. So a good way to identify that is to see how comfortable you feel with the idea of rest. For me, that usually tells me that I am taking on work just to validate my self-worth. If the idea of rest makes you feel uncomfortable, then my friend, you might have fallen into the trap of letting work define you, and you need to have that conversation with yourself where you tell yourself that your worth extends way beyond the work that you do. My next point here is especially for the women viewers watching this video, because it is very common for women to associate themselves with a nurture mindset, where the first gender that you think of in a caregiving role is a woman. And that's not a surprise because of how the society is conditioned, and women are expected to take care of others before they take care of themselves. So my next point is, do not let your relationships define you. Your worth lies way beyond being someone's mother, being someone's sister, being someone's daughter, being someone's wife. And it's important that you place yourself before all of these relationships. Because you know what? When you took birth, you didn't even recognize these relationships. It was only after you gained some sort of understanding of your surroundings, after you aged a little, were you able to identify relationships. Before that, nobody expected you to understand that you're someone's daughter, you're someone's sister. So I will ask you to keep that in mind, that there was a whole you before all of these relationships. The same applies when you are leaving, that is when you're dying. You are all out on that journey by yourself. You're not taking people with you when you pass away, right? So it is important to understand that, and to understand that you need to put yourself first. I'm not asking you to disregard people. I'm not asking you to discard these relationships, but this tendency that women have to put others before themselves, this might lead you to associate your worth with those relationships. So let's say that you have lost one of these relationships, you've lost a parent or you've lost a spouse, and you're grieving. But life does not end there. It is important to realize that There's an entire you even after they have left, and there was an entire you before these relationships came into your life. So see that, and do not let your worth be defined by these relationships. My next point that you should be looking at when you're dealing with self-worth issues is if you have ended up tying your self-worth to the money in your bank account. We all do that sometime or the other. We feel on top of the world when we have a lot of money, and when we don't have it, we feel like we're not worth much. We look at others around us and we start comparing. We feel like others are doing better than us. The next time you're dealing with feelings of inadequacy because you do not have enough, I want you to close your eyes, take a minute, and imagine, think back to the time that you did something selflessly, where compensation was not involved. Think of the time when you complimented someone. You brought a smile on their face. Consciously ask yourself if in that moment your worth was nothing. If in that moment how you made someone feel was worth nothing. They do not feel that just because you do not have money, you're not worthy enough. For them, you are the best thing that happened to them in that day. They are going to remember you. You realize that your worth in that moment was more than numbers could have perhaps counted. At the end of the day, people remember how you made them feel. People remember if you make them feel happy. People remember the vibe that you emit and not the money that you have. Look, everyone is going to tell you to work on getting the next best car, the next best house, to get to the best position in your career, to find your identity in your career. But I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you to work on yourself. Because if you don't feel enough, if you don't feel like you're worthy enough, then none of those things that you want, the house, the car, the career, will mean anything. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to take any of that with you. You're going to take you with you. And it's a dishonor to yourself when you feel like you're worth nothing. So don't make the mistake of doing that. Also, when you have self-worth issues in place, you will notice how easily you're willing to settle for less, how easily you're willing to settle for unhealthy environments, whether it be in workspaces, whether it be in relationships, whether it be in situations in life. You might end up feeling that you do not deserve better, but I'm here to tell you that you do, and you need to believe that. It's not easy to get there. If you've been feeling like nothing, then it's not easy to believe overnight that you deserve all of it. I know that. But you can keep saying that to yourself, that every morning that you wake up, you look in the mirror and you tell yourself that you're enough. Even if you don't do it in front of the mirror, make sure you're doing it in your head. You believed in Santa Claus when you were younger. The least like you can do as an adult is to believe in yourself. And last but not the least, if you're looking for a currency to measure your worth, then I hope you have it in you to not find it in work, in your bank balance or your network. But if you're looking for a currency, I hope you find it in the kindness that you show to someone, in the grace that you show to someone when they have done something to upset you, in the gratitude that you have for the universe when something good has come your way. Before I leave, here's the final parting thought. If you're dealing with self-worth issues, I see you. You're not alone. You're enough just the way that you are. That was all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any thoughts, make sure you leave them for me in the comment section. I will see you again in my next video. Bye bye. Take care.